The holidays are just around the corner, and that means it's time for you to start thinking about how you're gonna smoke your turkey this Thanksgiving or this holiday season. Well, I have some tried and true methods that I have been using for years to smoke my turkeys for me and my family, and today I'm gonna show you exactly the way I will be preparing my turkey for my family this year. This is gonna be a step-by-step from the very beginning to the very end and every step in between, and I'm gonna give you the first tip right here. If you are using one of these pop-up indicators for your turkey, you're doing it wrong. Get rid of it. Now, let's dive into everything else that it takes to make my Thanksgiving turkey. Now, as you can see here, the turkey is already on a wire rack, already on a pan. That's because yesterday, I pulled this out, I cleaned it up a little bit, and I put some Lawrys Garlic Salt on the outside of the bird. This is what we call a dry brine. As you can see, the surface doesn't look very wet. In fact, it actually looks like it's starting to get a little pink hue, and that's from that salt penetration. Now you're probably asking, why would I be putting salt on my turkey the day before? Well, in a dry brine, we want the skin itself to kind of tighten up and push that moisture back into the bird itself. Now, what this is gonna help with is making a nice crispy finish on the outside of our smoked turkey. One of the most common complaints about any smoked poultry is that if you don't do the skin right, it's rubbery, it's mushy, and it comes off of the meat. Today we're doing this a little bit different with that dry brine to help preserve that nice crispy finish. Now, the next thing that we need to do is get it off of this cookie sheet. I'm gonna pick it up here like this, and I'm gonna set it down. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do any trimming that may be necessary, like trimming the tail off. And I'm sure there's someone in the comments somewhere that's gonna say turkey tail is the best tail there is. I cut mine off. And I also trim out the cavity here, anywhere that there's a bunch of skin or flesh or fat. And as you can see here, I do have a little bit inside the cavity there. And then I also look at the cape here. We've got a lot of skin up here around the neck, and I'm just gonna trim that back because we don't need that. Now today we're gonna be doing a method that I have found cooks the best, the most even, and it still gives us a great presentation. That method is called a spatchcock. So what you wanna do is flip over your bird. When we spatchcock a bird, we are removing its spine and we are almost unfolding the turkey. Now, when we do that, it's gonna help cook more even, more consistent, and it's gonna go even faster than a typical turkey. So what you need to do, and I'm gonna start by just scribing lines with my knife, but you can just do this with a good knife or a good pair of kitchen shears. You wanna cut basically down the left and the right side of the turkey. As you can see here, we're gonna be removing about 1.5 to 2 inches of this bird. Now, with a good knife, you could cut through that, but I find a good pair of poultry shears to do the best. And you're just gonna snip right down the middle through those bones. I also find that it helps to spin it around and start from the bottom after you get so far and work your way back up. And that right there is what you're left with. This for us is gonna be garbage. So let's get it out of the way. Now you're probably saying, wow, that was pretty easy. I mean, we spatchcock this thing in literally about 30 or 45 seconds. The next thing that you need to do is take a sharp knife, give it a whack on the back of that breastbone, and we're gonna grab both sides of the cavity like this, and you'll hear it crunch. Just like that. Now, we can flip that back over like so. Now that is essentially the spatchcock pose that we're looking for, but we're not done. Once we got into that cavity, you know, there's obviously some moisture, and on top of that, we want to wipe that off, but we also want to knock off any of that excess salt that we used last night, because we will still be applying some good rub onto this bird. So any excess salt, we're gonna do just a quick little wipe down. Now, I will take a moment to kind of clean out the cavity while I'm in here. I'm also wiping off any real excess moisture that I see along the backside here, but it looks pretty good. The next step that we have is use a little bit of spray oil. You can use regular olive oil, avocado spray oil. spray olive oil, but I'm just gonna give a quick little mist along the back side of this turkey. Now the reason why we're doing that is so that we can get the rub to stick. Today I'm gonna be using an herb-based rub. This is called Vegivore. This is by Camp Chef, and I'm gonna sprinkle some of this herb-based rub into the cavity back here. And when you're choosing a rub, especially after doing any kind of brine, especially a dry brine, pay attention to the amount of salt that is in that rub. You will have already added some salt. Now I'm gonna go through with my Bearded Butcher's Hollywood blend and just give a little touch up. It's gonna give a little different flavor profile along with a good color finish. Take the back side of my glove here, pat this in to the inside of the carcass here, just to make sure that that rub is kind of patted in and sticking down. Now we'll flip it over. Now that we've flipped it over one last time with the paper towel to just pat down any last little remnants of moisture. Then we're gonna be doing the same with this side. Once again, a little spray avocado oil just to give the rub something to stick to. It's also gonna help with the finish a little bit. That nice golden finish that we're gonna be looking for. Back at it with that Camp Chef Vegivore rub. Once again, you don't have to use the rubs that I'm using, but if you're interested, I will put links down in the description if you are interested. Get the top of these shoulders. Nobody likes a naked shoulder. Then we're gonna just touch this up with the Bearded Butcher's Hollywood blend. That's gonna add that color again. And it's gonna look something like that. Now we have one last step before we get it into the smoker, and that is injecting it. I've found that an injection helps with some great, incredible flavor deep inside of the meat. It also helps keep it nice and juicy. Now this is my signature turkey injection. I have a recipe down in the description. Now I'm gonna get this stirred up nicely. This is a butter-based injection, and I'm gonna do a pump in each breast. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get it in there kind of nice and deep. Start to push it in, move it around, back it out, pump it into another direction. And you'll see that that turkey starts to plump up very nicely. Now you are gonna get some leakage. It's going to seep out just because of the pressure. We're gonna do the same in this breast. I also like to pump this into the thighs and the legs. Might as well get as much flavor into this bird as possible. We've got this turkey spatchcocked, we've got it seasoned, and we have it injected. We also have the Lone Star Grilz pellet grill over here running at 225 degrees. It is time to get this over to the smoker. Let's do it. All right, over here at the Lone Star Grilz, get this lid opened up. And the nice thing about a spatchcock is you can almost slide it right into the smoker like so. Do a little work to reposition this. Now it's also the perfect time to touch up any rub that you might have missed, anywhere that you might have touched it. I'm just gonna use my Hollywood blend here to touch up any places that I may have touched. But that right there is basically done. Let's get this lid down. We will be putting some probes into the breast here shortly just so that we can monitor the cook as we go. But at 225 degrees, we're gonna get a lot of smoke on this. We're gonna do that for 1 hour. It's 1 hour at 225, then we'll be back to crank the temperature up. All right, we are an hour into this spatchcock turkey on this Lone Star Grilz pellet grill. As you can see, it's looking beautiful. Now we've exposed it to plenty of smoke. Let's crank up the temperature. Now one thing that I love about this Lone Star Grilz with the fireboard controller is how easy it is to work. Now that we've gone an hour at 225 degrees, it's time to crank this up to 325. All right, we've reached about 150 degrees in both breasts. It's time to start basting this. Now I've got a concoction here. It is butter, maple syrup, and some of my favorite barbecue rub. We're gonna start basting it on this turkey. Let's do it. Now, as you can see, we've got some beautiful color. That skin looks nice and tight, and it's crisping up nicely. And that's partially because of the temperature that we're running at, you know, that 325 degrees, as well as that dry brine that we did last night. As you can see, I'm not exactly brushing it on, more of kind of drizzling it and guiding it on. And that's because I really don't want to disturb much of that beautiful skin or the seasoning on there. For the most part, this should be intact. Now let's get this thing closed up. All right, we are over here at the Lone Star here. This spatchcock turkey is done. We just checked it with the probe. We're probing about 165, 167. I wanted to bring both of those breasts to 165, and that's where we're at. We're gonna go ahead and pull this out. I brought a spatula along with me to kind of help get underneath it. And then I'm gonna grab the other side, like so. We're gonna let it rest for about 15 minutes. We're gonna get it over the table. We're gonna get it cut up and give it a try. Oh, oh, oh. Now I can already tell you, sitting here on this cutting board, this turkey is so juicy. It's spewing juices out everywhere underneath, and it looks and smells incredible. Now, none of this work means absolutely anything until we give it a try. So I am gonna do this for you, and give it a little sample here. Now, I'm not gonna carve this thing completely. I'm gonna give it, oh my gosh. Can you see the juice coming from this breast here? Oh, gotta give it a try myself right now for science. That is by far the juiciest turkey that I've ever smoked. I mean, it is insane. I'm gonna carve a little bit deeper into this. I just want a little bit of that skin, just like so. Give it a try, kind of how you would serve it. That is so tender and so juicy. I really wish that I could get that to translate on camera, how juicy that really is. Let me see if I can. So this is just a piece of the breast here. One of the best turkeys that I've ever made. The injection made for a very flavorful meat. One of the problems with turkeys and chickens too is that once you cut down in past the skin, it's just bland white meat. But that injection gave a nice, rich flavor deep down inside that, and I can taste it even when I don't have any skin. As far as the finish goes, the skin's nice and intact. It's not rubbery. It's crispy for the most part. There are a few spots that I can see it's not exactly crisp, but that's probably because it was pooling up a little bit of liquid around there, especially like on the insides of the hips. But beautiful color, beautiful turkey, and absolutely delicious. Now, to be honest with you, I'm a dark meat guy. I gotta try a little bit of that leg. Hands down, the best turkey that I've ever made. And I just sat here and showed you every step along the way with the instructions down in the description. So if you're looking for a great turkey this Thanksgiving, then I suggest you check out this recipe. And then I suggest you check out this video right here.